So it's Friday the 13th, and this is the last Friday the 13th pretty much for the year. So I thought, hey, let's do something a little bit different. Fortunately, I don't have a scary game, unless fish in aquariums count as scary, but this Aquarist, and pretty much the colors of the fish in this tank are like a rainbow underwater, so ooh, spooky. So anyways, you start your own basic aquarium set, and the story starts where you're 14-year-old and your dad brings in your first aquarium into your room, which is kind of an interesting way to start the game. I guess it has some sort of story in that sense. And gradually, I think you grow up after like this sort of test scenario, and you become a fish aquarium owner and a fish store owner, I guess you can call it instead. So it's an early access game. I think it came out, what, 3-4 years ago. Looks pretty good actually, even in 4K. Like, I can't complain about that really per se. So smoothly starts you with your first fish tank, and somehow you have like $500 or so. I'm like, wow, if I had that much money as like a 14-year-old, hey, that would be amazing. But yeah, not super realistic, unfortunately. But yeah, and you can buy certain accessories and accessorize the tank any way you like. You can buy rocks, you can buy pebbles. Yeah, so it's quite interesting that it starts that way. You can buy many different fish, but the game forces you to sort of start the game with goldfish, and then it branch out from there. So it's kind of like Garden Simulator. The setup's a little bit different, the controls are a little bit different. So the game lets you know important statistics, like if the fishes that you put into the tank are hungry, if the temperature in the tank is correct, the pH balance is correct. There's a few other ones. The game is pretty much House Flipper meets fish tanks, and the music and slow pace really makes the game relaxing. There's sort of like a jazzy soundtrack to it, the game, and it's actually kind of fun to play at first too. So anyways, the pleasure that you have of making and decorating your aquarium, it's you know, it seems to be the game focuses more on decorating your tank more than the fish. I mean, you're supposed to take care of the fish as well. That's kind of important, because I don't know if there's actually like a game over screen or anything, but I assume no. You can just afford new fish somehow. Then it becomes running a solid store with nice displays. I just find it disappointing. Like, it seems to be more about the field of view isn't possible to be closer to the fish and tanks, so you can feel more involved. I feel like I was like always a bystander, even if I adjusted the field of view to the closest I could get. It just didn't feel like, you know, I was still an observer. I wasn't really interacting with it as much as I was hoping. And you just don't feel as involved when you can't zoom in on the fish and see like them swimming and what they're doing. So that's kind of a shame. Yeah, so it just looked like I was standing a meter away from the fish that were swimming in the tank, instead of being able to, you know, properly interact and like even tap on the screen. I think something like that. Like, while the game is fun, I feel like the game still is at a very slow pace. It really guides you through, like with the way, comparing it to Lawn Simulator. Lawn Simulator sort of guides you through it, and then from there you're on your own. You figure out the game on your own, and it's like very intuitive. I feel like this game's not intuitive. It took me a while to realize, like, oh, like they don't tell you that. At least I didn't see anywhere where it tells you, oh, by the way, your stuff is like on your shelf. So I turned around, and then I realized after like just browsing around, hey, all my stuff's being put on the shelf, and I don't think the game actually tells you that. So like a better HUD, I feel like, would be much better. And like I wasted like a while just wondering, like, how come I can't get through this menu? So like it's not super intuitive in that sense. And yeah, just the game feels like a chore, kind of like Lawn Simulator. I don't know if all simulators kind of feel like that, but this game after a while starts to feel like a chore, like, okay, do this, do that, and you don't really have free reign to do it, at least at the beginning. I'm not sure how it ends up later. So apparently the game needs better algae control, light colors and backgrounds. So it's sort of, that would be great for a sequel, or since it's in early access, you know, maybe in the future update. The controls when placing items, it's really hard to be accurate and place plants or rocks and so on exactly where you want them to go. It's kind of tricky. I had another thing that bothered me, and I'm trying to remember what it was, but yeah, there's just a lack of interaction, and it just feels like you're putting stuff in but you're not really having, you know, a major interaction with the actual aquarium. I feel like it's a lot of fun. I haven't played a ton of aquarium games, modern aquarium games. This one's pretty good. It only goes for $15.49, so it's not a huge investment. I'm sure it goes on sale for half that price. And it's nothing for a fun aquarium game you could probably play with kids. I just feel like if I got stumped trying to navigate the menus and then realize everything was put on my shelf, then I'm sure kids would get stuck too or bored, because not a lot really happens. It's just a lot of like minor tinkering and then going from there. Yeah, so I would say it's the best aquarium game I've played so far, minus, like, there's a current lack of options in the menus too. You can play in 4K, but I feel like, you know, more camera angles, or if you really wanted a third-person perspective, maybe that would be cool. But just basic, like, day-to-day stuff, like, you can't see the health of your fish. There's only a smile. You can't see the stats, so it's very limited of what sort of up status of everything is, except for smiley faces and sad faces. So anyways, keep on fishing, enjoy your aquarium, and have a safe Friday the 13th if you're superstitious. And yeah, have a good night. Keep on gaming. Bye.